So take a breath or two. And then without using any protocol, see what part of you comes forward first.
Why doesn't she just leave this stuff alone and just get on with life?
Okay.
What is all this searching for? I, what is about? What is it about? If it's teaching that everything is divine and it's perfect, why all this work? If the work is happening in the doing and the living of life, why the looking? Why the magnifying glass? Why the unpicking and the oh gosh.
Mm-hmm. Take a breath, allowing the voice.
What's it all for?
So for a moment, I'm going to call this chair number 3. Okay.
Okay.
I want to move to chair number 1 and find the ego. I just want to check in.
Well, kind of have to take charge of things because she'll just be all over the place. It's good that there's some structure as well as the randomness, because then there's some depth of exploration to this life stuff, and I can support that within those parameters. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to suggest that this is actually part of chair 3. It's a very adult version of chair 3. See if you can feel that.
Yeah, it's authoritarian slightly.
Mm-hmm. And I may be clouding the issue by calling it chair 3. What I would like to do is get a clean sense of ego. And this is not a clean part of the ego. This is an invested part of the ego.
Hmm.
So the purpose of this lecture is to help you find I'm probably using the wrong words, helping you find a voice that represents a clear decision-making aspect of you that is not invested in agenda. Okay?
It is not invested in an agenda.
Right. The authoritarian has an agenda.
Hmm. Okay.
The voice that originally spoke has an agenda.
Okay.
So if we call this chair 4, this authoritarian voice, let's go back and try to connect to chair 1, ego. The part of you that makes decisions.
Hmm. Okay. Well, it's good and it feels that there is always some perfect storm brewing. And having different tools to cope with the perfect storms of life is very useful.
Right.
It helps with the navigation of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps with being able to let go and enjoy the randomness of life, but then also having some control in certain places.
Can you feel the difference between what
Yes,
you had just spoken? Right.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yeah. And
Now, go ahead.
I feel like this is the most important work that I'm doing in my life is the spiritual work.
So what I'd like to do now is go to what I'm terming the second chair, meaning it's like I want to test the waters. I want to make sure that you've got a clear channel to your real self.
Okay.
So viscerally, energetically, move to another chair. We're going to call this the real self. That's the intent. Now the ego is going to vocalize for this.
Hmm.
So it can be very subtle. The ego is going to vocalize, but needs to vocalize for the energy of the real self. Okay,
Okay.
give it a go.
So, oh my goodness, all this stuff. I just feel like it's it's good to just lighten up and allow some things, allow the flow, and not be so caught up in schedules and scheduling and trying to tick the boxes and make things work.
I'm going to have you pause.
Yeah.
That's an agenda.
Oh.
It's a subtle agenda. It's an agenda that has a positive intent.
Hmm.
I'm going to call that chair 5. Let's give it another go. Finding the real self.
Well, with all these voices and layers, how do I know that this voice is me?
Okay.
How would I
Number
know?
one, that's not the real self. That's okay. Because the voice has no meanness to it.
Hmm.
So I'm going to, I know you have it. I know you have it. What I'm, the purpose for these little mini sessions is to clarify and enable it to be reached more easily and not be confused by sections of ego with positive intent. Okay.
Okay.
The real self knows. It would never ask a question. It knows what it's here to do. Simply invite it.
Okay, I feel something different.
Okay. Do the best you can to give words to it.
It feels like a sureness and a knowingness, and also a no nonsense, kind of relaxed, no nonsense type of, that won't put up with any kind of foolishness. And it feels slightly humorous about, just a slight humor about everything.
Mm-hmm. Because there's no threat.
Yeah. And I can observe those other parts, but they're just there, sort of receded in the background.
See if you can find a word, a phrase, a sensory moment, a memory, pink elephant, something that would describe this for you, where the words could bring you back here. Something as if I said bamboo plant, you'd go, yep, got it. I know that energy.
Hmm. Okay, it feels like, and then I'm seeing, feels goddess like.
Okay. Then let's just allow goddess to stand for this energy.
Okay.
And here's
It's
what
like
I'm
a
going to invite you to do.
strong feminine, it's like a strong feminine observing and watching. and calm and just very sure
Mm-hmm.
and very balanced
Mm-hmm.
and even. And there's no male or female. There's no kind of split there.
Mm-hmm. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do for the purpose of this little demo.
Yes.
I'm going to name the other voices we found.
Okay.
And I want you to notice now what the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm catching myself here. In this moment, I'm actually talking to the ego, the clean ego.
Okay.
So you've got the goddess energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'm going to walk you through the other energies
Okay.
backward. With all these voices and layers, how can I figure this out? Give it a name just for the sake of argument, just for the sake of the moment.
Um. Oh, that sounds quite critical. Yeah,
Okay.
I would
Leave it
say.
critical. That's all we
Yeah.
need. Then there was the voice that says, all this stuff, it's good just to lighten up and allow the flow.
Hmm. Sounds like a childish saboteur.
Okay. Once again, these are not permanent. They're just ways of differentiating.
Hmm.
Okay. So now if we go back to the first ego voice that we found, have to
Mm-hmm.
take charge of things, or she'll have problems, good to have structure so I can support within parameters.
Hmm. Shall I name that?
Well, earlier you said that was authoritarian. There might be another word you would use now.
Um. Wow.
You can use authoritarian, it's okay.
Um. What's coming is spiritual ego.
Okay. Now I want to go back to the first voice that spoke. Why doesn't she just, what is this all for?
Critic. Inner critic, or father critic.
Okay,
Because something my dad said came across my awareness. Yeah.
cool. Okay. So for the purpose of this little demo,
Mm-hmm.
we've got the real self. We've got a clear ego voice
Mm-hmm.
and 3 or 4 others that can be confused for the ego.
Right.
Right. The purpose of this meditation for 3 voices is not to tell you who to listen to or what decision to make, but
Mm.
to allow you to find clear versions of these energies
Mm-hmm.
so that you and the real self, the clear ego and the real self, can decide what to do. Because if these other voices decide what to do, they're not going to cooperate with the calm voice because they have agendas.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I heard that.
Right,
Yeah. Very, very distinct agendas.
right. So for the moment, I'm going to close this recording, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.